What's up, guys? Carolina Jackpot coming at you June 22nd, 2019. It's time to get back into the pick and prediction videos for the 2019 college football season. I apologize I was not able to do any last week. It takes a while to get prepared for these, and I was doing some work out of town, plus I was doing some work around the house. The only thing I really had time to do was those little quick hit lottery ticket videos, but we're back. Texas A&M Aggies were 9-4 in 2018, which was their best record since 2013. They were 9-4 ATS, which is kind of odd. They were 9-4 ATS, same record as they were straight up. So if you bet on Texas A&M, you probably won more times than you lost. Texas A&M had been known in the past, especially the past 4 or 5 years, they kind of got the stigma of being a team that would start off really hot, right, and then falter down the stretch. Turned that around last year. They only lost one game in November, and I believe it was the early game, the first game in November. So Jimbo Fisher, seems like he's got things there on the upswing after taking over from Kevin Sumlin. He had the number 4 recruiting class in the country last year, which was truly his recruiting class. Pulled in a 5-star O-lineman and a 5-star D-lineman. And that 5-star D-lineman probably will be able to make an immediate impact this year, as they have lost a few people up front there, which we will get into in just a minute. Let's get right into the offense for Texas A&M. They got their quarterback, Kellen Mond, back. Okay? Solidified himself last year as the starter after getting the job from Nick Starkel, who was the starting quarterback there in 2017. He tossed for 3,100 yards, 24 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions. He also rushed for 7 touchdowns and 474 yards. So he'll hurt you with his feet as well as with his arm. On the wide receiver side, just virtually everybody comes back, led by Courtney Davis, 585 yards, 45 catches, and 7 touchdowns. You know, Texas A&M always seems to have a really good receiving core. At tight end, they're going to be replacing Jay Sternberger there. Now, that guy caught 10 touchdowns last year. This dude was just a monster. When he played my Gamecocks, I mean, this dude drug like our defensive back down the field like 25 yards. I'm like, just tackle him, dude. Just tackle him. And this guy was just dragging this poor kid. It was kind of comical to watch, actually. But Jimbo Fisher likes to use the tight end. So he has a really good one coming in. Baylor Cupp, a true freshman, 6'6", 240 pounds, from there out of Texas. He's a really good athlete and should really kind of help bridge the gap from losing Sternberger to the NFL. Their great wide receiver core, which, you know, gains a lot of attention, kind of leaves the tight end there to make plays. And as I said, Fisher likes to use the tight end in his offense a lot. I got running back is where probably the biggest problem is on the skill positions this year. Of course, they're losing Travion Williams, who was a 1,700-yard rusher last year, 18 touchdowns. Probably the best running back last year, stats-wise, in the Southeastern Conference. But they got some young talent behind them. Jashawn Corbin, he rushed for 346 yards last year and only 1 touchdown. He looks to be the starter this year, and then they have bringing in Cordarian Richardson, who is from UCF, a transfer, who will also get a look back there at the running back positions. They got 4 starters returning on the O-line, and that's huge. I mean, you guys know if you're returning starters on the O-line and your O-line did a pretty good job last year, which obviously they did. This kid rushed for 1,700 yards last year. He only rushed for 700 and something in 2018. So the offense was a little bit different, though. In 2017, you had a different coach there at the time, but they paved the way for him to do that last year. So they must be pretty decent up front. They returned 4 starters, and that is huge. On the defensive side of the football is where things don't look as rosy this year. Texas A&M actually had the number 2 run defense last year in the Southeastern Conference, which was kind of surprising to me when I looked at it, but they were number 12 in passing defense, which put them near the bottom. They're returning one starter on the D-line, but they do have some talent up front, although it's young. I did talk about they have a 5-star defensive lineman coming in this year. The cupboard is really bare at the linebacker position. They have kind of moved some players from the safety and cornerback position over there, a couple of them, and then done some other things. Just a lot of youth and experience at linebacker, which is not good. And the secondary is returning 3 starters. They're going to have to play a lot better than what they did last year. They lose their 2 leading tacklers and their 2 leading sack makers on the defensive side of the football, which I think they will improve on that side of the game this year. Just had a lot of youth back there last year, and then lost a few guys also. So there's some work to do, but they will most likely improve there this year. Braden Mann is also coming back. That is huge. This guy was a Ray Guy winner last year, All-American at punter, had a 51-yard average. That's a very key role in the football team that a lot of people really kind of skim over when they're talking about stuff in these preseason predictions. You got a good punter. This dude is pinning your opposition back, giving them poor field position all the time. That is a really, really big weapon that they're returning. Their field goal kicker is also coming back. Seth Small, 20 out of 28 field goals last year, which is not great, but it's definitely serviceable there. So, without further ado, what we're going to do is get into the 2019 schedule, and we're going to look at sure wins, what are probably going to be sure losses, and where the toss-ups are, and how we think those things will go, and how they're going to do against what Vegas is predicting for Texas A&M. Shall we? Let's go to Carolina Jackpot's big board and check that out. Here's our 2019 slate for the Texas A&M Aggies. Of course, Las Vegas is saying you'll get 7.5 wins. Let's take a look at 3 of them here that I know will be sure wins, or should be. Home game against Texas State on the 29th of August. That's a Thursday game, if I'm not mistaken. Should take an easy victory there. Then you come home on the 14th of September against Lamar. That's a FCS school. You'll win that game. And then on the 2nd of November, UT San Antonio, one of the worst teams in FBS by far, you will take an easy win there. Looking at the rest of them, I don't see anything that I would absolutely call a sure win. I really don't. So we'll discuss those when we get to them. Let's jump into the rest of the schedule here. And you go on the road on the 7th to take on Clemson. That's a big rematch for y'all from last year, of course. Game number 2 for y'all last year. You lost 28-26 at home to Clemson. That was the first game that Trevor Lawrence really saw significant playing time. And, you know, I don't want to make that game out to be more than what it was, but, I mean, they really dominated y'all in the first half. I mean, it was to the point, I think it was it like 21-6 at halftime or 28-6 maybe? I'm not sure. But at any rate, I'd quit watching it because, you know, I'm a South Carolina Gamecock fan, and I really don't like to watch Clemson rolling, so I went ahead and turned that one off. And then later on, I came back to it when I saw the score, and I was like, oh, let's take a look at this. But, you know, you had the thing there where you fumbled out of the end zone, and they called a touchback on it, and some of y'all said it was a touchdown, some others say it was a touchdown, some say it wasn't. Who knows? But they kind of took their foot off the gas and let y'all get back in that game in the second half, I feel like, this year. And which, taking nothing away from Texas A&M, I mean, they made a valiant effort to try to come back and win that game. They really did against a really good elite defense. But this year, I just see it going differently. I see Clemson getting on top early, and I just see them staying ahead. Once again, taking nothing away from Texas A&M, but Clemson's just an elite team. I mean, they're the reigning defending national champions. You got Trevor Lawrence back at quarterback. I mean, the guy's filthy. Justin Ross, T. Higgins, he has a bevy of receivers to throw to. Travis Etienne running the ball. I mean, I just don't see anybody really stopping these guys this year. Most you can really hope to do is slow them down a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and give you the loss there. I think you'll play hard. I think that you'll probably play well. But I just don't see you winning that game. Sorry. On the 21st of September, you got Auburn at home. This is a team that's kind of trying to figure out their quarterback situation, kind of trying to find their way. Of course, people down at Auburn, not really totally thrilled with the job Gus Malzahn has done there, especially the last few years. I think they feel like they've kind of underachieved, and they probably really have. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a win here. I don't think that you'll have a problem with them. In the end, that's a big home game for you. Let's just go ahead and call that a win. On the 28th, you got Arkansas, and I put Dallas, it's Arlington, whatever, Dallas Cowboys Stadium. This game has been close in recent years. Even though Arkansas has been down, I kind of look back over the scores for the past 5 or 6 years, and most of those games have been a touchdown or less. So one of them was a blowout a few years ago in favor of Texas A&M. But you guys usually win it. I'm going to go ahead and give you a win in this one, but watch out on that one. I mean, last year it was a 24-17 game, really, really close game. And Arkansas had a terrible team last year. They finished up 2-10, didn't win a game in the Southeastern Conference. So that one bears a little bit of watching. You have a bye week, and then on the 12th, got a big home game against Alabama. You guys beat them, I think, back in 2012 or something, Tuscaloosa. Really haven't done much against them since. Last year, you were actually closer against them than any other SEC team was, pretty much, I believe. What was it? It was like 45-23 or something like that. I kind of hung in there with them a little bit. I'm going to have to give you a loss in this game. I think this year that they're going to play a lot better defensively than what they played in 2018, and kind of really focus themselves on winning a national championship again. I think they feel like they kind of let everybody down last year, kind of looked bad there in that national championship game, and they're gonna definitely be looking to right the wrongs of that. I'm going to give you a loss against Alabama at home. Not saying that you can't win that game and pull an upset. It just does not look like a winnable game to me at this point. On the road at Ole Miss on the 19th, I think you take a win here. Ole Miss, of course, still struggling under Matt Luke. Kind of struggled last year. Finished up with a losing record, and they had a really good core of wide receivers, really good quarterback in Jordan Ta'amu. He's gone. Most of the receivers are gone. They do have Scotty Phillips come back at running back, and what's his name? Matt Corral is going to be the quarterback for them. I just don't see them being able to win a lot of games in the SEC, so y'all should take care of business there. Coming into the 26th of October, you have Mississippi State at home. This is another team I figured to be rebuilding a little bit. Some people have them ranked in the top 25 preseason. Some people don't. This is their second year under Joe Moorhead. I think he's a really good coach there, and I think he'll do some good things. He has one of the kids that was a quarterback for him, a backup at Penn State. What's his name? Tommy Stevens. That'll be their quarterback this year, most likely. I'm going to call it a win in this game, but, who knows? I mean, what Stevens can do, what Moorhead will be able to do this year, they're kind of an unknown, in my personal opinion. So I'll give you a win in that game, but let's keep an eye on it. Of course, the 16th, you're back at home against my South Carolina Gamecocks after an off week, after that tough UT San Antonio game. I gotta level with you. I'll just go ahead and give you the win here. I'm sorry, and I'm not going to make a homer pick in that game. Just given our lack of success against Texas A&M, and given the fact that you're probably going to throw the ball a lot, and our secondary, while I think will be improved this year, I still don't think it's going to be the strength of our defense or the strength of the team, for that matter. And just quite frankly, I don't know if we'll have the depth. I don't know. There's a lot of unknowns with us. Don't know if injuries are going to have a big effect by that time in the season, and it's a road game. Now, our games against Texas A&M, for the most part, have been close. We've lost all 5 games we played against them since you guys came into the SEC. And only one of those, which in 2014 is the very first one, was a blowout. The rest of them were close games. I see this one probably going much the same way, but I think Texas A&M will probably win it. If I had to make my decision right now, you got that one. All right, last two games of the year are on the road, and I haven't talked about how tough the schedule is. I mean, it's pretty brutal. I mean, your 3 of your non-conference games are cupcakes, but you got Clemson on the road. That's the #1 team in the country. Of course, reigning defending national champions, as I said. You got to go on the road to Georgia, on the road to LSU, and of course you play Bama, who you play every year. I mean, this is a tough schedule. A lot of people have my Gamecocks schedule rated as #1 in the country. I would say y'all's is #2. If I had to look at any of them, you're #2 or #3 most difficult. This is pretty rough. You're on the road at Georgia on the 23rd after the South Carolina game. You'd probably rather have the bye week. Probably rather play South Carolina on the 9th and have a bye week there to get rested up, healed up, whatever. But you don't. You got to go on the road to play Georgia. I'm going to go on ahead and give you a loss in this game. You guys haven't played, I don't believe, since you've been in the SEC. They did lose their top receiver, J.J. Holloman, yesterday. Kicked off the team for beating up his girlfriend. Wow. I mean, that's just nuts. You know, what an idiot. You know, what a waste of a career. You know, who knows where he'll end up. Somebody will end up taking him, though, but that's really unfortunate there. But I still feel like that power running game, I mean, they have the best offensive line in the country in some circles. It's a road game for them or for you. Tough place to play, as I will certainly attest. My team has not had a lot of success down there. I'm just not going to be able to give you the win in that game. They will probably be vying for a playoff spot at this point in time, and I fully expect them to win the SEC East. And on the 30th, you finish up on the road at LSU. Of course, you guys beat them last year in a monumental, 7 overtime game? Was it 76-74? It's like a basketball score, 74-72. It was the first time you beat them in several years. This one, you know, I could see you trying to come out and make a statement in the very last game of the season here, but I don't know. I'm going to have to give you the loss there, too. Their defense is slated to be really good this year, as I did a prediction video on them. Also, you know, just looking at that one, I'm going to have to give you a loss there. So that leaves us with a final record here of 8-4, if everything goes the way that I have it predicted, which would put you over the 7.5 win total. If I were a betting man here, I probably, and I hate to say it, and taking nothing away from Texas A&M, you know what? I tell you what, this schedule is pretty cut and dry. I mean, it's tough, but to me, it's pretty cut and dry. The losses and the wins are pretty well defined. If I could see any of your wins going the other way to a loss, the only ones I could possibly see would be the home game against Mississippi State, possibly being an upset, or a possible upset against Auburn, maybe. The South Carolina game, you know, who knows? A miracle could happen. We could pull that one out. Who knows? That could be a loss. I don't know on that one. But I would probably bet the over on the 7.5 wins here. I just probably would. I think Jimbo Fisher's got you on the uptick. You have 4 games here that I say are losses, but looking at those, any of those could be wins, obviously. The game at LSU on the 30th is one that I had the most trouble with, which I say that because LSU's just been known to underwhelm, and a lot of people, I picked them to go 11-1, but they've been known to underwhelm almost every year. So that last game, and knowing that you have the history of beating them last year, that's the one I could see turning into a win for you guys. The other 3, the Clemson on the road, the Alabama at home, and the Georgia on the road, I don't see y'all winning those, but I would bet the over on this if I were just a betting man. That's just my personal opinion on this one. If you can read my chicken scratch, take the over on Texas A&M this year. So that concludes the 2019 Texas A&M previews and predictions. Looking at probably an 8-4 record, possibly 9-3. I don't see y'all getting to 10 wins unless you go 9-3 and win a bowl game. I just don't. That's not a slight against Texas A&M at all. It's just the fact the schedule is brutal. You're playing some really, really good teams this year, as you will every year, but this year it's just it's really stacked and loaded. So that's where I see it at, guys. If you like the video, make sure you hit the like button. Subscribe so you'll get to see all the Carolina Jackpot previews and predictions for all the teams this year. I'll put a playlist down in the description box below so that you can see the ones that I've done previously. And spread the word. Share this video out with your friends so that they can see it. And if they like it, maybe they'll subscribe too. This is kind of a low-budget channel. You know, we don't have all the little graphics and the cute stuff and the bells and the whistles like some of them do, but taking nothing away from them, we all have pretty much the same message to preach. And there's not a lot of difference between the final result that we usually all arrive at. So I do appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time. Go Gamecocks. Woo!